What's going on, guys? This is Gainz Gaming. Today we are going to be reviewing our KVK. We did just finish up our Season of Conquest Heroic Anthem, so you can see we got 11 days left here, so we are at the tail end. We have come to essentially a peace treaty with all the other camps besides Fire, so we are going to be reviewing what exactly happened in this free-for-all KVK, how things went down, who ultimately won the KVK, and exactly what happened in Kingsland. So without further ado, first of all, I wanted to just explain that this was a totally free-for-all KVK. It was camp versus camp versus camp. And so we are in the Earth camp up here in the top right. And then obviously we got wind in the bottom left with 1429. And then we got water camp over here in the bottom left. And then finally we got fire camp up here in the top left. So I'll show you guys what the map looks like right now. So obviously wind camp did take the ultimate wind with 1429 and 27 taking on Kingsland and ultimately capturing the Zig at the end of KVK. And so what we have done is essentially created the peace treaty with both wind and water. Just our three camps were the main fighters in this KVK, which we will be talking about later on as well in some stats. But we have come to peace with these two other camps and we'll divvying out rewards as well as we see fit. I'm not part of that decision, so we'll kind of see what rewards we're going to be getting in this KVK in terms of what we're going to do for contribution and just how we're going to divvy up those circles and other things as well. So, but I do want to pull up some footage here I have from the KVK, and that is going to be during Kingsland when our camp was actually dominating KVK. So I'm going to pop this up here right now. So right here, I was actually at work when I recorded this, but I got some messages saying come record what's going on in Kingsland right now if you have time. So I went on, I looked, we had like 6 different war fronts fighting in Kingsland. You can see our land completely surrounds the Zig, so we are obviously in full control. You can see fire there breaking back into Kingsland, but if you look over here, there's absolutely no fighting against water. So they were only trying to push against us. You have water over here trying to push against us as well, trying to get to the Zig. And then we also have wind over here with 1429 fighting as well. And so we have 3 different camps, the other 3 different camps all attacking us. But then if we look at the parts where they have like territory on each other or could have territory on each other, they are ignoring entirely. And so during this moment, we really thought like, is this actually like a free-for-all KVK? Because it really seemed like all the other camps were kind of just trying to gang up on us and team up on us and try to take over Kingsland, because as you could see in that video, we did fully control the Zig. We literally had it completely surrounded with our ally as well, 2152. And so we were pretty frustrated about that because it was a free-for-all the entire time, and then once we got like full control of the Zig, everybody came at us at once with that, like completely ignoring one another. Which is obviously frustrating because we felt like we did really well, but could not obviously defend against 6 other kingdoms attacking us all at once, because it's a 2-1-6. That's essentially impossible to defend against, especially in Kingsland without any forts or anything like that. It's just way too many fronts to defend against, because like you saw in that video, we did have just so many attacks going on. I think there were like 6 fronts at the end of it that we were fighting against, and we just don't have the garrisons for that. We don't have the rallies for that. We obviously did not have the troops or the field presence for that either. And so we did ultimately have to retreat back into our zone 6. Obviously, Wind Camp came back over here and took our 2 passes and zeroed a ton of our players that were offline, even though we had like ample time to get yourself on territory, get yourself shielded. Obviously, that's why you always want to make sure you are preparing for that, especially in KVK, because you need to be aware of where your city is, if you are shielded, if you are eligible to get zeroed, because there have been many players that have been zeroed in this KVK. And so that was the first thing I wanted to go over. The second thing I wanted to talk about is the stats. So if we take a look right here, these are our Kingsland stats. So this is Kingsland only, so whatever was happening in Kingsland, these are all the stats from it. So if you take a look here, we have our camp Earth, we have 1,049,000,000 T4 kills, 1,791,000,000 T5 kills, and then 467 million deads. So you can see that tops all the other camps in deads, tops all the other camps in T5 kills, and almost tops all the other camps besides Wind, obviously, with T4 kills. So if we see here, we did definitely have the most amount of kills and the most amount of deads out of any camp. Obviously, that's going to come from fighting on 6 different fronts against 3 other camps as well, so 2 kingdoms versus 6 kingdoms. Granted, fire camp is obviously a much weaker in terms of just their overall strength and activity, and so it wasn't as much pressure from fire, but mostly from wind and water, being just very, very strong fighters in these two camps, especially with 1429 and 1858. You can see here they did a majority of their camp's kills, similar to 2247, My Kingdom, in our camp of Earth Camp. So in this total, you can see in Kingsland, we definitely had the most kills, we had the most deads by a pretty large margin as well. So you can see we did kind of have our work cut out for us in this KVK, specifically in Kingsland. And so next I want to talk about just the entire KVK stat. And so that is going to be every single fight combined, including Kingsland. So here we go. This is all the stats for the entire KVK. And so we can see here, we did come very close to win camp in total deads, but we did edge them out by 40 million dead troops, but we did lose in kills to them. So win camp did kill more troops than we did, but it's also because they were fighting a lot of water as well, whereas we did not have a ton of fighting against fire. And so that's one thing that you definitely have to respect against wind, is that they weren't just fighting us, they were also fighting water in zone 5 and 6 as well. So this is another part that you have to take into consideration, is that wind didn't just have us to fight, but they also fought water throughout the KVK as well. Whereas we didn't fight a ton of wind and we also didn't fight a ton of water, so we were a little bit stronger going into Kingsland in my opinion. But this also shows that Earth Camp and Wind Camp were the two dominating camps in the KVK. And before the KVK even started, before the battling started, I know there were talks about Earth Camp and Wind Camp allying up and taking a farm at KVK, but neither of us wanted to do that, so we wanted to just do free-for-all KVK. Everyone kind of grind their butt off to try to win this KVK, and obviously Wind came out on top, just being dominating force with 429 leading the way in both deads for their camp and in kills overall in the entire KVK. So us in 2247, we did have the most amount of dead troops by a little under 30 million deads total. And so it was very, very close between 2247 and 1429 in deads. But obviously the T4 and T5 kill difference definitely shows when they were also fighting against water. So we did take a lot more deads, obviously fighting on those different fronts in Kingsland. But throughout the KVK, we did have quite a bit of fighting as well in just terms of dead troops. So I also want to talk about just overall contributors in the KVK as well. So these are going to be the top contributors in the entire KVK. We obviously have a total score right over here. So our number one contributor in the KVK was in 1858, so Water Camp, and this was V1741. They got 86.9 million T4 kills, 160.7 million T5 kills, 5 million dead troops, and 473 million points total. And then number two, we have in 1429, we have Alita. They were absolutely insane throughout KVK. They definitely had a run for our money. You can see a much earlier account than V1741 up here. And so they had 88.9 million T4 kills, 138 million T5 kills, 2.9 million deads, and a score of 404 million points. And then coming in number three, we have, I believe that's Varan, and they are in 2152, so that's our camp. And then they had 39 million T4 kills, 79.8 million T5 kills, 7 million dead troops, 289 million points. And then in our camp, I want to give them a shout out as well, 999. They're in our Kingdom 2247. He had 35 million T4 kills, 71 million T5 kills, 8.28 million dead troops. That's insane. And a score of 285 million. So these top four definitely very strong. We had a couple more people in our kingdom reaching this top list. You can see this light tan color is our kingdom. The dark color here is our campmate, and then the blue is 1429. So you can see it is mostly from 1429, 2247, and 2152, with the exception with these two from 1858, even one taking first place overall. So overall, I think this was a pretty successful KVK, especially being a free-for-all. I thought that it went really well until Kingsland, when we were just a little too aspirational with our total territory, when we just took too much in Kingsland and just didn't have the activity to hold on, especially going into our downtime. Because when I recorded that video, we were just heading into our downtime. And so that is very, very tough to kind of hold on to, because especially going into downtime, when our enemies are going to their uptime, they are going to absolutely obliterate us. And so going into our downtime on 6 different fronts, fighting 3 different camps, it's just a losing battle. So we held on as long as we could. We tried to hold off so as many people could get on in Zone 6 and Bubble. But since then, we have made some peace deals, so we will be going back into Kingsland eventually, I believe. Not sure when exactly that will happen, but I believe the capturing for the Zig rewards will be coming here shortly. If I take a look here in the Chronicles, you can see right here, Coalition controlled the Great Zig, so that is in 6.5 hours. And then Pass 5 is unsealed, so that will be exciting because we still are burning Fire Camp, and so these passes will open up. We'll be able to invade Fire a little bit more, get some more kills. I'll show you guys my stats here as well, so I'm hoping to still reach the 30 million kills by the end of this KVK by fighting against Fire. So we are at 21.8 million kills. A lot of those came in Kingsland because I was just not available in the other fights in Zone 5 against Wind. So a lot of these came from Kingsland, a little lower than I wanted to be. I really wanted to reach 2 billion kill points this KVK. I'm at 1.93 billion kill points, so I got 70 million kill points to go. We'll see if I'll be able to get there in this KVK. I'm really hoping so. If we can zero some cities and hopefully get some fighting there in Fire, maybe I'll be able to pull that off. We'll have to find out. But I'll also show you guys my Hall of Heroes. So in total, I have 1.55 million dead troops. You can see here, a majority of those are T5, 500,000 T5 infantry, 382,000 T5 cav, 372,000 T5 archers, and then some siege that I was filling into cities as well. So I do have some videos here coming out shortly of some city zeros that I did myself and some city zeros that we just captured from other camps as well. So stay tuned for those videos. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please drop a like and subscribe. Let me know if you guys have any questions on this KVK down in the comments below. Thanks again for checking out the video, guys, and I'll see you next time.